जोहार फेर घाय आपण मान को स्वागत करूछु आमरी पश्चिमांचल टीवी कार्यक्रम के यहाँ चिनी आमर संबलपुर रो जिला वकील संघन आमर ओडिशार मुख्य विचारपति श्रीजुक्त एस मुरलीधर पहुंचीछन आ सेनो कार्यक्रम में योगदान देछन। आसन आमे आपण मान को नहीं जाउछु सीधा लाइव से कार्यक्रम के सेनु आमर सहयोगी श्रीजुक्त सपन मिश्र अछन। तो चालून से कार्यक्रम निके जिमा सेनु आपण मान को देखाम सेनु काना चली छी।
Challenges and he names them equality and fraternity. He knew that we had to work this constitution, we had to work our democracy. It is a work in progress. And even today, those words ring very sharply. Every day one is reminded when you read newspaper items, articles, they're still far from the kind of social democracy that Baba Sahib Ambedkar dreamt. Tribal society that they all fought for. And they never gave up. So if you look at Sri Chandrasekhar Mehta, this was a time when even the system was not really developed. The system was an alien system, it was a borrowed system. And yet the Sri Mehta was inspired to challenge the system through from within the law. If you look at Mahatma Gandhi's lifespan, who's 20 years in South Africa, the man was using the legal system. They didn't have a written constitution. They didn't have constitutional courts like we have. They didn't have the facility to file a writ petition. They couldn't challenge legislation. They couldn't ask for enforcement of fundamental rights. And yet, as a lawyer, he used the legal system. There is a brilliant book by a historian, Charles de Salvo, under the title Man Before the Mahatma, which traces the life of Gandhiji as a lawyer in South Africa. I read it about a decade ago, and again, for me, it was an eye opener because we've grown up reading experiments with truth. Gandhiji does mention briefly about his initial years as a lawyer, but doesn't give us the details of the cases he actually. And when you read Charles de Salvo's biography of Mahatma Gandhi's legal life, you realize that he used various tools that a lawyer would use, not just filing cases in court, studying legislation very carefully. Legislation that had come out from London. Gandhiji would study it so carefully and give his comments and file petitions to the government saying that this law is discriminatory, this is racist, this isolates a set of people, this is class legislation. He was actually arguing all those constitutional values that we now argue in courts on Article 14. Gandhiji was thinking long ago. If you look at Gandhiji's life in Johannesburg, I don't know if the audience here is aware, Gandhiji began as a barrister at law. He was called to the bar in London. When he came to Durban in South Africa, he started as an advocate, arguing in court. He struggled to be invited to the bar because he was the lone, what they call colored lawyer. The lone Indian lawyer in that entire bar in Durban. As it turns out, because of his exchanges in court, when he's taking on a system, he's taking on a judge sitting with prejudice, he would have the interest of the media there at that time. So the local Durban press covered every case that Gandhiji argued. And Charles de Salvo, fortunately, could have access to the archives of those newspapers in South Africa. And he gives us actually a complete verbatim account of what transpired. So Gandhiji took up cases not just of hawkers, street vendors, he took up also indentured labor. He took up criminal cases. He argued for businessmen, Indian businessmen. He argued for the laborers, Indian laborers in South Africa. He had a wide range of clients. And he knew that his task was also political. He was fighting an unjust system. The law was unjust. Just see how many things can go wrong. Your law is unfair, the system is unfair, the persons in the system are prejudiced, and yet you don't give up. You say from within the system, I will use the system to advance my cause. So when Gandhiji had to move, he had to take a very conscious decision after 10 years of practice journey. Because of the racist rules of admission to the bar in Johannesburg, a colored lawyer could never be allowed to address the court as an advocate, as a barrister. So Gandhiji had to settle for being an attorney and only to appear in the lower courts in Johannesburg. But even there, we're talking of 1903, when electric trams were introduced for the first time in Johannesburg. And there was segregation. Europeans could travel in one tram car, all the colors and Africans could travel in another tram car. Go with the Europeans in that tram car only if you went as his servant, not on your own. So Gandhiji started what we today call segregation. He deliberately got a rich Indian businessman to board a European car, and the man promptly got offboarded by the conductor. And Gandhiji started a case on that basis.
ଏଣୁ ଆମେ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ଜଣାଇ ଦେଉଛୁ ଯେ ଶ୍ରୀ ଏସ୍ ମୁରଲୀଧର ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେ ଚିଫ୍ ଜଷ୍ଟିସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ହାଇକୋର୍ଟ ଅଛନ୍। ସେ ତାର ପୂର୍ବରୁ ପଞ୍ଜାବ ଆଉ ହରିୟାଣା ହାଇକୋର୍ଟର ଜଜ୍ ଥିଲେ। ସେ ପହଲା କରି ହାଇକୋର୍ଟ ଦିଲ୍ଲୀର ଜଜ୍ ହିସାବେ ଆମର ଭାରତର ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରପତିଙ୍କର ଦ୍ୱାରା 2006 ମସିହା ମେ ମାସେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଆପଏଣ୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ଦିଆଯାଇଥିଲା। Say assume of office of judge at the High Court of Punjab and Haryana on 6 March 2020। ଶ୍ରୀଯୁକ୍ତ ଏସ୍ ମୁରଲୀଧର ତାଙ୍କର ବ୍ୟାଚଲର ଇନ୍ ସାଇନ୍ସ କେମିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ବିବେକାନନ୍ଦ କଲେଜ ଚେନ୍ନାଇ ଠାରୁ କରିଛନ୍। ତାରପରେ ସେ ସେନୁ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ କ୍ଲାସ୍ରେ ପାସ୍ କଲା ପରେ ମାଦ୍ରାସ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରୁ 1981 ମସିହାରେ ସେ ପାସ୍ କରିଛନ୍। ସେ ପ୍ରଥମ ସ୍ଥାନ ଅଧିକାର କରିଥିଲେ ବ୍ୟାଚଲର ଅଫ୍ ଲ ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏଟ୍ ହେଲା ପରେ ମାଦ୍ରାସ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟିରୁ ସେ ଆୱାର୍ଡେଡ୍ ହେଇଥିଲେ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀ ନରସ ରେଡ୍ଡି ଆୱାର୍ଡ ସେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଦିଆଯାଇଥିଲା। ଜଷ୍ଟିସ୍ ମୁରଲୀଧର ପହଲା କରି ହାଇକୋର୍ଟ ଦିଲ୍ଲୀନ 29 ମେ 2006 ମସିହାନୁ ଜଜ୍ ହିସାବେ ଆପଏଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଥିଲେ। ସେ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଭାବେ ଆମର ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ଟ ବାର୍ ଆସୋସିଏସନ୍ ସମ୍ବଲପୁର ଚାଲିଛି ଆଚିନି ବି ଆମେ ଯୋଗାଯୋଗ ସ୍ଥାପନ କରବା ଲାଗି ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛୁ ଆମର ପ୍ରତିନିଧି ତାଙ୍କର ସାଙ୍ଗେ। से सेनु उपस्थित अछन याचिनी आमर जस्टिस एस मुरलीधर तांकर वक्तव्य रखुछन। आम जोगाजोग करवा लगी चेष्टा करुछु आमर प्रतिनिधि श्री सपन मिश्र सेठाने उपस्थित अछन। से कार्यक्रम सेनु आम चेष्टा करुछु आपण मानकर निके आमर पश्चिमांचल टीवी लाइव माध्यम ते पहुंचाबार लगी आमर जोगाजोग स्थापन हेचे। आसुन आपण मान को नै जाउछु डिस्ट्रिक्ट बार एसोसिएशन संबलपुर प्रीमाइसेस के जेनु से कार्यक्रम
let us show who's better than the other. No. How does the cause get served? They believe in democracy, they believe in free speech, they believe in civil debate. When we look back today, are we really providing that kind of a space? free exchange of thought. Someone asks you to be like, no, that is not what the statue is for. The statue is only to remind yourself they also started as a human being like you and me, but they carried forward because of the courage of convictions. They were not deterred by the losses that they faced, the defeats that they faced, because they knew they were fighting for a larger cause and a greater purpose. That is the inspiration that we all should draw from the lives of such great eminent personalities like Shikhar Vairaj, Madhusudan Das, Mahatma Gandhi, and many other freedom fighters who were also lawyers. I must also reflect a bit on the legal system. We know that there have to be many changes in the legal system. We want the system to function better, deliver better. The wheels of justice move as quickly as they should. When they don't, justice comes to a halt or slow down, and litigant public is waiting for the wheels of justice to move faster and faster. We've been waiting in our courts for a long time. So there are systemic changes that we should think of. The changes can come from within the system. Sometimes the changes can be introduced into the system. But we need to collectively put our heads together for legal reform to take place, systemic reform to take place, and our own attitudes and approaches to change. We've been approaching the legal profession in a certain manner in the last, let's say, 50 years, 60 years. We've lived with this legal system for more than 75 years. We need to revisit, and which we do. There have been law commission reports, there have been expert committee reports, suggestions, changes. But at the bottom of all this is the willingness for the change. We must keep ourselves open to change. One big change that has happened around us, and which is what I've been pushing for, and Dr. Rathod also mentioned, is the use of technology in courts. I'm not for the moment advocating that technology will substitute what the judge should do or what the lawyer should do. That should not get substituted, will not get substituted. But if we make it easier for the lawyers to appear in courts, for instance, during the COVID pandemic, fortunately and hopefully we'll come to the end of that, most of 2020 and most of 2021, we had the hybrid hearings in court. Only 3 days ago, 2 lawyers from Koraput appeared in virtual mode. Yes, Sarangi. He could present their case very well. At the end of the hearing, Mr. Sarangi asked them, "Sir, can I ask you where are you appearing from?" And
आमर प्रतिनिधि सपन मिश्र संगे आमर संपर्क छिड़ी जाइए आमर कार्यक्रम आपण मैंने देखले से लगे आपण मान को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद या कार्यक्रम सीधा प्रसारण आम करूँ संबलपुर जिला वकील संघ तांकर कार्यक्रम रे सामिल होइछन ओडिशा हाईकोर्ट रो मुख्य विचारपति श्रीयुक्त एस मुरलीधर से वक्तव्य तांकर रखुले से कार्यक्रम यहाँ आपण मैंने सीधा प्रसारण देखुले आमर ई कार्यक्रम के रखुछु जुहार।